Welcome to Monte Carlo. We're here for the Monaco Grand Prix round 6 of the season, the 30th Monaco Grand Prix that's been held on the OC calendar, the 4th of 9 tracks that of course have been on the OC calendar every season, the 3rd of 6 street circuits that are on the 2018 GP4 OC calendar. The race will use the 1993 version of the circuit, and we will continue to use it for the foreseeable future, as for some reason some certain people don't like chaos for some reason, which is a shame. But anyway, previous winners here include Kellen Bryce, Yuri Master, Joseph Wills, we've had Florian Volker, Will Neller's won here 3 times, Florian Volker's won here 3 times, Evan Byrne, Waisku and Miklas Gau. We've had a whole host of winners here in Monaco, so it's going to be interesting once again to see who is going to win this season. That record on this current layout of Monaco, the 1993 version, set by Will Neller last season, a 1:16.576, 78 laps, a circuit length of 3.328 kilometers, 20 corners. So it's going to be very interesting to see how the cars do on this layout, particularly now they're wider, and they also have the halo, of course. The tyres we'll be using for this race will be the ultra soft tyres, and the driver of the day from last time out was Roland Moitian, and the race rating a 7 out of 10. So let's get on with the race, shall we? So the starting grid for the Monaco Grand Prix, and on the front row of the grid 1 and 2, it is Amar Carr for Ferrari, with Franco Lopez alongside him for Mercedes. On the second row of the grid we have Joel Hutter for Red Bull and Joseph Wills for Ferrari. Row 3 of the grid, 5th and 6th respectively, we have Florian Volker for Mercedes and Miklas Gau for Red Bull. Once again, Joel Hutter out-qualifying his vastly experienced teammate Gau. Interesting to see. Jay McKenzie 7th for Renault, and Tiravi now turning 8th for Force India, better qualifying for him. On row 5 of the grid we have Enes Barachki, good qualifying by him in the Toro Rosso, and Kirosima de Rossa 10th for McLaren. On row 6 of the grid we have Franco Gamba for Haas and Paolino Tomaselli for Sauber. Row 7 of the grid we have George Roque for Haas and Laura Chung for Toro Rosso. On the 8th row of the grid, 15th and 16th positions, we have Evan Byrne, the Irishman, for Renault, and Roberto Gamba for McLaren in 16th position. It's unusual that De Rossa's not had a good season, but he's out-qualified Gamba today. Roland Moitian, 17th for Force India. Gabriel Gomez, 18th for Sauber, qualified by Moitian, seeing his performance last time out in Spain. Felix Sonsag, 19th, with Maxime Titkoff, 20th. And on the last row of the grid, we have Lean Campana for Williams and Etienne Jones for Manor. So there we are, that is the grid for the Monaco Grand Prix, and weather-wise it will be a dry race, although we will have a 22% chance of rain, but it's pretty much going to, I think the race is going to finish before the rain comes, so if it didn't, that would be a fascinating end to the race. But anyway, we are now on the grid, Amar Carr once again at the front row of the grid as the 5 lights are about to come on for the Monaco Grand Prix, of course, using the old pit exit, of course. And well, the rest of the circuit still remains the same. But anyway, the 5 lights are on, and there's an extremely long hold, and finally we're underway. And Carr makes a good launch off the line and looks set to lead into the first corner. And as he goes round, he's going to take the lead. Lopez is going to be second. It's going to be very tight. There's not much room, particularly with these cars as well. And they're creepy crawling through the first corner. Willow's almost side by side with the Red Bull there of Joel Hutter, trying to get into 3rd position. And is he going to get it? I believe he is. Hutter's trying to keep it around the outside, but Hutter, I think, will get 3rd. Will he? No. Willows will go around the outside and take the inside, I think, although Hutter, I think, still on the inside for the next corner. And no, it's still side by side between the two. It's so tight, but Hutter just about manages to stay in front. That was a great battle. That's probably the only bit of action we'll see at the start of this race, really. Oh, and Jay McKenzie appears to have got some damage somewhere. So something has happened to him at the start. What a disaster for the Renault driver. And let's have a look what happened to the Renault, if he got ran into or if he ran into somebody. And no, he gets hit from behind. I think that's by Enes Barachki. And let's have a look on board from him. He was running in 9th, so not good for McKenzie or Barachki. And unfortunately, Barachki's just clean gone into the back of him there. Really poor driving from Barachki, and that's going to cost him a chance of points. Here we are looking on board with Maxime Titkoff, running at the back of the field, so he was in 20th. Let's see what happens to him if he gets hit or if he runs into someone. He runs into the back of the Sauber there, so he gets damaged too. And here we are looking at Evan Byrne, who's trying to go past his teammate McKenzie, or will he? No, it doesn't look like he will. He makes contact with the back of McKenzie. Oh, and McKenzie's gone into the wall, and McKenzie is out, and that is not the way to start. Oh, and hold on a second, and Titkoff was just hit from behind by his teammate, so wow. for Renault and Manor, it's a disastrous start to this race. Look at that, Jones clean goes into the back of him there, as the incident between the two will be under investigation, and there's, oh no, and oh my word, I can't believe what I've just witnessed. Jones has just gone into the back of Mackenzie, and has also now gone into the back of his teammate, and taken his teammate out. Wow, I don't really know what to say about that. That is quite something. But Carl at the moment still leads, Lopez in second, Hutter third, Willers in fourth, Gal in fifth position. That is the top 5. The rest of the top 10 has changed a little bit. Volker is 6th, now Turner is 7th, De Rossa 8th, Franco Gabba 9th, and Rogue's actually up to 10th. So he's made a good start and took advantage of the chaos, that's, well, I say chaos, of the content that's gone on the first lap. We're already on lap 11, so we've had to skip a few laps because no surprise around Monaco. Look at how close these cars are. And the Force India in the background is close too. But unfortunately in Monaco, there's just not really many opportunities, and particularly with these cars as well, many opportunities for overtaking. Now Roberto Gamba is in the pits. I don't know if this was a scheduled stop or not. Lin Capano is in as well. It is a very early stop, so I'm not. So it could be, because it is a long race. But as Roberto Gamba comes up the very narrow pit exit and back onto the normal circuit, there's Tomaselli in 16th. Capano's in. Parachki at the back of the field at the moment, and Capano's going to come. Looks like probably ahead of Parachki, I think. Will he? Not sure. But now into the pits comes George Roque for Haas, who's moved up into the top 10 following. Following the first lap fracas that had occurred. So he now comes to the pits, and the pits here looking just so narrow, and of course it is very unusual for me because normally I'm used to the pits being on the left hand side. This time they're on the right with the current layout that we are using, 1993, as that pit stop seemed to be held a little bit for Roque there after he had changed all tyres on the car. But he comes out, it looks like, is it behind Jones? Yep, it's behind Etienne Jones. That's probably not what he wants. He comes up just ahead of Tomaselli and ahead of Roberto Gamba there. But so we're looking at the top 6 or 7 now. Turner just about keeping up with the top 6. As Volker actually is going to be pitting this lap, so I wonder if he will try the undercut. And so it's going to be interesting, because I mean the undercut around Monaco, because there's just no overtaking, pit stops are crucial here. It doesn't really matter about pace. You can be the slowest car on the circuit, but pit stops are the way to go. So here we go. So Volker could even jump into first if possible, but which it is possible. But the question is, can he do it, or will he get stuck in traffic? Because if he gets stuck in traffic, then that pretty much eliminates any chance that he has to winning this race. But he comes in. He'll change all 4 tyres on his car. Here we go. And it's 27 laps of fuel, so he'll be going for a fair bit. And the big question is he going to come out in traffic? So the stop was 7.1 seconds, so where's he going to come? He's behind De Rossa. Franco Gamba is in 8th. He might come out ahead of it. Actually, I don't think he will come on ahead. And if he doesn't, then that could be bad for Volker. If he doesn't, it comes out in 10th. Will it be 11th? The answer is no. Fortunately, there is actually a gap to Evan Byrne behind, so he has to come out in some clear air, but he'll catch up to Chung and Franco Gamba pretty quickly. So it's not going to take him very long at all to catch up, I would think. But as we're looking at the front of the field, there's the Sauber already being lapped. There's now Turner just about keeping up. I wonder if he'll try the undercut on the drivers in front of him, because he has been just about keeping up with these guys. So it's going to be very interesting to see what he does. De Rossa right now in 7th position, and Volker, you can see he's already caught up to the back of Chung and Franco Gamba, and that's not going to be good unless Chung and Franco Gamba, well, both of them, pit in the next lap or so. Otherwise, Volker, his fresh tyres are going to be all for nothing unless he can overtake, which around this track is not very easy. And having just seen their fuel, they ain't going to be pitting for a few laps yet. So Volker is going to be in for a long race, as is, well, I think everyone else really. When they get stuck in traffic, it'll just be like a nice Sunday drive. Anyway, here is now Turner in the pits for the pink Mercedes. Now he goes into his pit box on the right hand side, and he changes all 4 tyres. How much fuel do they put in? He nearly run out actually. Not a lot of fuel actually they put into his car, which is interesting. So maybe Force India trying the 3-stop, which I don't necessarily think would be a great idea. But now Turner, who was not too far behind Volker, it might be actually quite close here if now Turner can get ahead as they're just coming through. Here we go. Actually, now Turner comes out the pits, and it was actually very close. Very close. Now Turner actually probably another lap or so. Now Turner probably could have jumped those guys, and that would have been not good for Volker. But unfortunately for Volker, that means now Turner is now right behind him too. But at the moment, Gomez already a lap down. He's got Joel Hutter that's attempting to lap him. Willows is now into the pits as well. So all the top 7 cars pitting one lap after the other. So they're all trying to get the undercut on each other. So here we go. The question is, will Willows get ahead of, or stay ahead of Volker and now Tyrrell will be the big question. Carr is going for a long while yet, so he's just controlling the pace at this moment in time, so he doesn't really need to worry, Carr. I think Carr, to be honest, coming to think of it, he's probably in the best position, really, because he's going the longest out of everyone here. They can't overtake him. Most of the drivers are pitting now and are getting themselves stuck in traffic, so, and they're going to have to pit probably even before Carr does his stop, because it looks like maybe Carr is doing just the one stop, so this is very interesting to see the different strategies on display. But Willows comes in. The question is, will he come out ahead of Volker and now Tyrrell? Is the big question. Well, I say Volker now Tyrrell. I should say Chong and Franco Gamma, because they're the ones holding up this pack of cars. So we'll see. And I think he will actually. So I think he'll stay ahead. I think he'll be pretty sure he was ahead of Volker actually. So he'll stay ahead of him as he comes out of the pits. Where are the other cars? Where are they? He comes out of the pits, and I think he's stayed ahead. Now Franco Lopez, who has been stuck behind Carr since the start, comes in for his first stop of the race. And let's see. Okay, no Lopez is in, and he's going quite a long way on this set of tyres, which I'm not sure if that will benefit him or not. Although he seems to be held in his in the pits for quite a while, and Etienne Jones has received a 15-second time penalty for causing the incident with his teammates. So that really compounds the misery, and that's probably one of the few penalties to ever be given around Monaco, because it's Monaco after all. So yeah, unfortunately for Jones, not a good look on him. But Lopez comes out in the 6th position. Now into the pits is Miklos Gau, almost out of fuel. All the drivers actually running close to their fuel, which is quite unusual, because normally they pit with probably 2 or 3 laps to spare, even 4. Okay, no pressure. But Gal is in. He's going quite long, so that's to be the 2 stop for him. First gear. And he comes out of the pits, changing all 4 tyres. It's done. And there we go. Not a particularly quick stop. That was pretty slow to be honest. I think that's what, 9.4 seconds. Very slow indeed. So where's he going to come out actually? He's behind Lopez, who's in clear air. Good for him. Will he come out ahead of Franco Gamba and co? I think he might do. And other pits, where are the rest of them? And yep, he's ahead. So you can see, look at that Volker really badly stuck behind. It's affecting him hugely. But at the moment, De Rossa is running in 3rd position. He's 14 seconds off Hutter, who himself is close behind Carr. But De Rossa is not pitting for a while yet. So yeah, Willows is going to have to try and Lopez are going to have to try and overtake De Rossa on track. And I wonder if De Rossa can get himself into play here, because he's in 3rd and he's not pitching for a while yet. And if the cars can't get past him, it's going to be interesting. And oh no, Gal is out, and Miklos Gau is out. And what has happened to the Hungarian? And he is out of this race. So what the heck has happened here? So did he make a mistake on his own? And okay, so we're clearly coming through, and oh yes he does, he makes a mistake and goes right into the side of the wall. That is not good for Miklos Gau. And oh no, the Haas has hit the debris behind, I think, and so is, oh, and there was a bit of contact there I think as well. Was that Volker and now Turnen? I think that could have been. I think, yeah, there was that whole gaggle of cars actually, I think. So you can see Gau making the mistake and just clips the edge of the wall, and that was a big accident. And Franco Gamba is the one that hits the debris there. I don't know if... and oh yes, and now Turner did go into the back like I thought he had. He seemed to go in at quite an impact, and unfortunately now Turner has gone into the back of Florian Volker to compound his misery. And both those drivers are going to have to go into the pits. But Franco Gamba is pitting for an unscheduled stop, but he was probably pitting... He's pitting actually soon anyway, to be honest, so maybe pitting just a lap or 2 earlier than he normally would. But Gao making the mistake coming out of Casino. And unfortunately that's cost him dearly. So Franco Gamba, now Tunen and Volker all in the pits. But for Franco Gamba, he was going to be pitting anyway, so I suppose it doesn't affect him too much. Now Tunen comes out and Volker out behind all 3. It's just gone from bad to worse really for him. As we look, seeing a few of the other cars go by. There's Moichin, there's Sontag, Jones going by as well. They're just so sketchy, that pit exit really on the old layout. But Volker right now down in, what is it, 17th position I think it is. And Roke is stuck behind Jones, but Jones is pitting anyway. Willis still can't get past De Rossa. Car's going to be going as if for quite a while yet. Hutter, who pretty much hasn't lapped Gomez for like 15 laps, is going into the pits for his first stop of the race. Now I'll be glad behind that, well, his teammate Gal is out, and Volker is in strife. So for Hutter, he could take advantage here and take another good result. So far, you could say he's probably outperforming his teammate Gal this season, his vastly experienced teammate. And Gal's definitely going to be under pressure because, as I said, no one expected Hutter to be at Red Bull, as we all know. And actually, will he come out ahead of this gaggle of cars? I don't think he will, actually. So Hutter is going to be behind all these drivers. So that's not exactly, I don't think, worked out as well as he would have hoped, really. So De Rosa, right now, running in second position. And this is a legit battle for second because De Rosa is not pitting. He's on the same strategy as what Amar Kar is. And at this moment in time, De Rosa, I think, is within a podium shout here because he's holding up Willows, he's holding up Lopez, and now he'll be holding up Joel Hutter behind as well. So, I mean, these guys are going to be following each other for a while now, but the question is, just will they ever be able to get past? Will they ever be able to get past? These cars they're so wide, it's not suited to this Monaco track, and particularly the late 90s layout, or the mid-90s I should say, this being the 1993 Monaco layout. But as I said, Kar and De Rosa right now are certainly the favourites. But as we're looking at Chung, Byrne, Sontag, Moitian, still yet to pit. Roke has stopped, but obviously all these drivers will be pitting fairly soon, I would think. But just look at this gaggle of cars behind De Rosa. He's got Willows, he's got Lopez, he's got Hutter, he's got the British, he's got the Brit, the Argentinian, and the Swiss, the most unlikely combo, trying to take down the Polish driver. Now here we are looking once again at De Rosa coming on to the front straight on lap 27 of this Grand Prix, and no surprise, the action has been, there's been a lot of action. Highlight of course hasn't really been, but Willow's attempting to take a look there at De Rosa, but there's just no room. Chung has finally come in for her first stop of the race. She was running in P6, but as we look at the 5 drivers coming through, or sorry, the 4, but at the end of the top 5, De Rosa trying to hold off, and he's doing a good job so far, but he knows that the drivers can't overtake unless he makes a mistake. I mean, we had the only battle we've seen really with this race was when Willows and Hutter were just about side by side on the first lap, with Hutter coming out on top. Well, unfortunately for Hutter, that's been all for naught, considering the fact that he's stuck behind both Lopez and Willows, and now De Rosa. And Kar, actually, who is in the lead, is nearly 20 seconds ahead of De Rosa, who obviously hasn't got the pace compared to the guys behind. So Kar, if he keeps this up, he'll be a pit stop ahead of everyone else, and if he is, that's pretty much just going to guarantee him the win, really, because he's only going to be pitting once. He's got Gabriel Gomez, who has been stuck behind him as well. The Bolsinia there of Moitian coming out of the pits just in front of Gomez. That was quite sketchy again, but fortunately no damage done. By the moment, Kar is looking like the favourite right now, and I don't really see how he's going to lose this one. And I say that, of course, there's many ways that he could lose it, but yeah, I just don't really see at this moment in time, as long as he just keeps it away from those metal barriers, that he's going to win. But Willows and De Rosa get a slight gap behind to Lopez, but although they will catch it back up almost straight away. Evan Byrne is now finally in the pits for Renault as well. So Chong has actually come out ahead of Roke, and Roke himself is stuck behind Sontag, who himself has not pitted yet. So as I said, it's not the most thrilling of races, to be honest. But I mean, this is what we came really to expect of Monaco, particularly with these cars. But I suppose it's been a mainstay on the calendar since its interception, as Volker has actually technically been jumped by Byrne, who I think just came out of the pits right there. Now, as we see, Tomaselli is in the pits as well for Sauber, so he makes his first stop of the race. Now here we are looking at De Rosa coming in to the chicane, gets it through pretty easily as well, just is having a nice Sunday drive, only with the added pressure that he's got 3 faster cars behind him. But of course he's not going to get out of the way of these drivers, not at all. But and as I said, he is on the same strategy as what Kar is, so he is in with a good chance of a podium here. And I suppose the drivers behind, when they pit, the question is, if they get in traffic as well, then De Rosa just going to stay in front of them. So De Rosa technically is really controlling this pack of cars, and even by the end of the race, if he does stay ahead of these guys, even if he's on much, his tyres will be pretty much dead. But he doesn't need to worry about that, because the cars really won't be able to overtake him. So De Rosa is holding all the cards here. The gap at the front actually is 18 seconds, so actually it's not gone up, it's gone down slightly to 18 seconds. So Carl's not quite a pit stop ahead at the moment, but it doesn't really matter at the moment. I think it'll be close if he comes out behind, but doesn't need to worry about De Rossa. And actually, come to think of it, Carl actually has got a lot more fuel than what De Rossa has. De Rossa's not got that much left. He'll be pitching probably in about maybe 4 or 5 laps time, probably lap 36, 37. Pitting Carl probably be pitting nearish lap 40, so he'll go to the end comfortably. He's got this Toro Rosso. This is, I believe, of Enis Parachki, and Carl is now going to lap him here, although it's going to be incredibly tight. Oh no, I could just not see this going well, and he's got through, and amazingly no damage. But it's so difficult to overtake on the circuit when there's just no room really. But Parachki managed to get out of the way, fortunately, and Gabriel Gomez has come in for a pit stop for his second stop of the race, as he, I think, was the one that was hit on the first lap. But he's in, and he'll come out behind this battle of cars, but he'll be in clear afterwards. There's Roke with Franco Gamma behind him, now Turner almost pushing Lean Campana through the hairpin there, as we look through the rest of the field. So here we are looking, I think there was a bit of a traffic jam coming into Raskas here, as the car was trying to lap Parachki. So we're looking at Moichin, who, does he actually make an overtake on the circuit? Yes, he does! Roland Moichin has made an overtake. Unbelievable scenes. We have actually seen an overtake on the circuit, so well done to Roland Moichin for keeping this race alive. But at this moment in time, De Rossa, the gap actually is coming down a little bit again. It's down to 17 seconds. But as I said, and Willers actually is going to be pitting soon as well. So they're going to be pitting about the same time that De Rossa is at this moment in time. So De Rossa definitely is within a shout of a podium here. Meanwhile, Volker has been stuck behind Byrne after he came out ahead of him on the last stop. So for Florian Volker, it doesn't look to be getting any better for him, unfortunately. And he's been stuck behind Byrne, and there's just not really any way of overtaking him. And I think not being able to overtake is just going to be my key phrase from this race. Right, now Willers is coming in, so he is going to try and undercut De Rossa, who he's going to be pitting probably in about a lap or so's time. But the question is, will Willers come out in traffic himself? Will be the big question. So changed all 4 tyres, and that was a bit, well, seemed like a quick stop. So he comes out, it looks like in clear, come up behind Laura Chong, who herself is actually having a pretty decent race actually at the moment, running in P5. But Willows, crucially, I think, is going to be in clear air. And now finally, De Rossa is going to pit this lap on lap 38, and I would imagine he is going to go to the end of this race. And so, as we look at him coming, Lopez about 7 tenths behind, not getting too close, and Hutter still behind, and Gomez, who of course is a lap down, behind too. So now finally, Lopez and Hutter are going to be clear of De Rossa, as we see George Roke in the Haas in the pits as well. So as De Rossa comes through very slowly, very gingerly, the gap is coming down actually even more. It's down to 16 seconds. So the car obviously struggling, well, he's having to deal with traffic really, and De Rossa is just trying to preserve his tyres for as long as possible. Now De Rossa comes in, I would imagine De Rossa would go to the end. If he doesn't, I think McLaren really could have messed up what would be a great, I suppose, strategy, I guess. As you look at De Rossa coming in, and surely must go to the end, and yep, that is a lot of fuel, but De Rossa is going in, and I think that is the right decision, because they've got a big opportunity here, McLaren. It's not been a good season so far for, well, for both drivers, but mainly for De Rossa, and this would be the blessed relief that he would need. And so he comes out, the question is, he'll come out in 6th position, so he'll come up behind Willows, but of course, crucially, Willows is going to have to pit before the end, so he doesn't need to have to worry about overtaking Willows, because he has to pit anyway. So at the moment, De Rossa is, I just realised, of course, why didn't Ferrari think of putting Willows to the end, like they did with De Rossa? I think Ferrari, actually come to think of it, just realising, have made a huge mistake, because if they had, then Willows would be comfortably in front. So, oh dear. And McLaren must be delighted that Ferrari have made a strategic mistake, and I mean, I've never heard Ferrari ever do that before. Have they? I don't know, I can't think of it really. But anyway, Felix Sontag in for Williams. He is going to the end as well. He's doing the same as De Rossa. And I think anyone that hasn't pitted now and gone to the end are going to struggle. Well, they're going to finish at the back of the field, really. That's the only way you can really put it. But Sontag is going to come out of the pits. A very long stop, though, over 10 seconds. That is incredibly long. But anyway, Chung right now running, keeping up actually with the two faster cars in front of her. So Chung once again actually having a pretty good race actually. She's got out of the pack, she's doing very well for herself. But as I said, Hutter still behind Lopez. And there's Volker yet again trying to get past Byrne. And wait, is he going to try to go around the outside of him? Surely not. Is he going to do it? If he does, that would be an amazing move. And is he going to do it? No. Oh, God, I was going to say, if he went around the outside of the hairpin there, that would have been probably one of the best moves of the season, really. Particularly with these cars. So he tried to get through as car was lapping him. He goes actually onto the inside curb there. And I thought Volker had it there. And around the outside of the hairpin, I was thinking, surely he's not going to make it. But he had the inside line. I thought he might have the move done. But unfortunately, just didn't have the momentum off the corner. And had to, well, I suppose concede back to Byrne, who had the line into the corner there. So Carr's still yet to pit, but he is going to be pitting in probably about 3 laps time. And at the moment, it's looking pretty good for him at this moment in time, as Lincoln Campana was the car that we saw just coming into the pits. So of course, if Carr wins this would be his 3rd victory of the season. As you look, and wait, I think I saw a car with an issue, I'm pretty sure. I think I did, if I was right, but I'm not sure. But at the moment in time, Carr, the lead to Lopez is 14 seconds, but obviously Carr will be pitting soon, so he'll take the lead, but of course it won't matter, because Carr will be pitting for his first and only stop of the race. Now we are looking at these guys once again stuck behind this lap traffic. It's an absolute traffic jam here in Monaco. Enes Parachki is into the pits for Toro Rosso. He'll drop to nearish the back of the field. Cars come across the straight. We are pretty much at the halfway point of the race. So Volker right now back into the points finally, but still stuck in traffic unfortunately. Lopez and Hutton, now they're coming up to traffic, and this could play into Carr's hands. And you can see him there just chilling right now, not pitting yet for another lap or so. And now finally Carr does come in for his first and only stop of the race, and it's been a very comfortable race for Carr so far. He won't come out in the lead, but it won't matter, he'll be going to the end. And he can just, he doesn't need to worry about any of the cars in front of him. He can just chill, doesn't need to worry too much about the traffic, because, as I said, he's in the best position. That's just how it is. Leading as he comes out. And wow, he came out just in front of Volker there. So if he didn't, that could have played into the advantage of Lopez. I bet Volker would be wishing that he got out ahead of Carr to maybe do him a favour, but Carr has crucially got out ahead of Volker. And he comes out down in, what was that, 5th position I think Carr has. And actually, it was actually not that far away from De Rossa actually, so maybe another lap or so, and De Rossa could have been ahead of Carr, and then that would have been the battle for the win. But Hutter has come in for his final stop of the race as well. And as we look through the field, we're looking at Carr lapping Traffic Willows as well. We're looking at De Rossa trying to lap traffic too. He laps Volker, and I bet Volker didn't think at the start of the day he'd be lapped by a McLaren, but he has. This is 2020 after all. By this moment in time, Lopez leading this race. Chung is at the moment in 2nd position, but she'll have to pit as well before the end. And I wonder if she'll be in this battle at the front. She could get herself a top 5 finish, Chung maybe, as we look through the rest of the order. And Carr right now in P4 behind his teammate, but doesn't need to worry because his teammate will be pitting. Everyone in front of Carr will be pitting, but as I said, if he'd stayed out a lap or two more, then De Rossa could have jumped him, and had he done that, De Rossa would have been leading this race. If buts, maybes, as we're looking at the field coming through the last sector of the track, and no signs of any overtaking this race. But Hutter at the moment right now in a gap. He's on his own, he's got no traffic to deal with, as sometimes being lapped there, coming through Raskas, being lapped by all the big cars, including Volker going past him. But I think that was actually a pass for position. And as we look at him coming through, Volker did actually pass Sontag as he took advantage of De Rossa lapping him, and Volker went around the outside like the favourite Eminem song and managed to make the move stick, but unfortunately that was only for P15. So Volker not going to be able to make any points, as Lopez is going to come out and crucially got that move on that lap car done before he came into the pits, but that was pretty sketchy to say the least. But he did anyway. So Laura Chung is going to lead her first ever Grand Prix for Toro Rosso, so that will be something to put down in the history books, the first legitimate female racer to lead a race. If you know, you know. As Lopez obviously comes into the pits and out, so Hutter will be going to the end, so Lopez will be behind him, so looks like Hutter will be finishing ahead of Lopez at this moment in time, and Willows is pitting, so, and he will try and undercut Chong, because at the moment he is in a battle with Laura Chong. So far Chong has had a fantastic race, done very well, and she could, well, she'll certainly have a chance of finishing in the top 5, I would think, but we'll have to see come the end of the race. As we look at the cars coming through the tunnel, the famous tunnel, and Volker now all over the back of De Rossa, but unfortunately this is not Volker lapping De Rossa. De Rossa has already lapped him. Checkmate. So looking at Willows, who's going to be coming into the pits on this lap. So as Willows coming through the swimming pool chicane, now heading towards Raskas for the 53rd time. Of course, Carl will be delighted to be out of the way, and just one less car to deal with. Well, I say one less car to deal with. It's got lap traffic, but he probably won't bother dealing with all that lap traffic, because I think a lot of them probably will be pitting as well. Willows is in for his final stop of the race, and so they changes all 4 tyres. So there we go. Changes all 4, and he will of course be going to the end. He'll be on fresher tyres, but of course it will be pretty much irrelevant in this case, because he'll catch up to the back of other drivers. He won't be able to pass them. Actually, would he come out ahead of Lopez? Actually, this could be close. No, I think Lopez will be ahead, so Lopez ahead of Willows, and they're in clear air as well. Hutter, I couldn't see if you need to go in or not. Campana's pitting this lap. Chong, as I said, leading at this moment in time. Got Carl behind her as they come through the hairpin. Chong got a lot of lap traffic ahead that she's got to deal with. She'll be pitting in probably a lap or so's time as she comes through and heading under the tunnel, and we'll see as they come through if Chong will pit next lap or not. I don't know if she will. If not, then she'll definitely go one more lap. As she comes through, goes a little bit wide there. Car all over the back of her at the moment, but it won't matter because Chong will be pitting, and Car will have a free ride to the end of the race. And as I say, he doesn't need to do anything stupid right now. He really doesn't. As we see the Haas of George Roque, who's coming in for his final stop of the race as well. So as we look at the cars coming through the hairpin, coming through Raskas, now through the final corner, and the question is, will Chong pit this lap? You can see Roque just coming out of the pits now, so he'll be at the back of this big gaggle, and Chung will be pitting on this lap. So there we go. Chung did a very unusual line into the first corner. I don't know what she was doing, but anyway, she will be pitting, and now in she comes, and she actually has the McLaren of Roberta Gamba, who's in the pits as well. So as we look at Chung coming into her pit box, so the question is, where will she come out? Actually, will she come out ahead of Joseph Willows? Because Willows did try the undercut, and I reckon probably he might do it. So Lopez is in front, and the question is, will she get out ahead of Willows? And let's have a look. And note, Willows actually is already ahead, so yeah, so I think Chung was definitely struggling for pace in that car. But now, as I said, so De Rossa right now, so this is legitimate order. So Armagh Car is leading the race. De Rossa is P2. Joel Hutter is P3. That is, at the moment, the podium. And none of these guys are going to be pitting again. So, wow. I mean, I don't think anyone expected De Rossa to be on the podium. At this moment in time, it's looking pretty good for him. Car, of course, will be going to the end, so at the moment he is looking pretty good, and the Sauber there off Tomaselli is going to be pitting once more before the end. So as you look at the cars coming through the chicane, Rossa in second, and he's going to hold up Hutter, and I don't imagine, unless he makes a mistake, that he's going to lose this. He's going to be under some serious pressure though. He's going to be under mega pressure from the Red Bull and the Mercedes behind as well. Two cars that are much quicker than the McLaren, but around Monaco it's completely irrelevant. Now here's Lopez lapping cars coming through here. This is going to be very interesting, and he's made it through past Gomez there, so no damage done, fortunately. That could have gone badly, but so far it has actually been relatively clean, this race, apart from the first corner obviously, but that was actually still relatively clean, well, Monaco standards anyway. And of course we had Gal going off on his own. I mean, we had obviously Titkoff and we had Mackenzie. I suppose that was the end of the first lap and we had the first corners, but still, by Monaco standards, it's been pretty clean. As we're looking at Lopez once again lapping cars, as here's Gomez trying to pass Roque, who has been lapped by Lopez there. Didn't work. So, and actually Gomez is going to be pitting this lap, it looks like. So at the moment, car extending the gap to De Rosa behind him, so any chance De Rosa had of winning this race, unfortunately doesn't look like it's going to happen. As we look through Aparatsky being lapped coming through the tunnel. And Evan Byrne is in the pits actually as well for Renault. And so is Roland Moyton actually for Cindy. We haven't seen those guys during this race. And as we look at Lopez now trying to lap the Williams, and which he does so cleanly. Here we are looking at Enis Baratsky right now in P13. Volker is in the pits actually as well. Florian Volker, we haven't seen him this race either, in 11th position, and it has been a pretty terrible race for him as well. Been stuck down. He was stuck behind Evan Byrne for ages, just couldn't get past him. Unfortunately, that has badly affected him, and it looks like Volker is going to be getting precisely 0 points today, unless a miracle happens. But here we are looking at Roque, who is on the back of Enis Baratsky in the Toro Rosso. It's quite surprising that Roque is behind Baratsky, considering how low down Baratsky was. But I suppose that's probably traffic that's played a part, because Roque was actually in the points outside the race until about the halfway point. He was running in the points, but obviously, if you come out behind slower drivers on this track, then yeah, you're not really going to overtake him. But as we're looking at Willers now lapping traffic, going past Baratsky, Frank Gamma is in the points as well, pitting for the final time. So Frank Gamma, who's I think done pretty well this season, definitely outperformed Roque, I would say, and he's having another pretty solid race. As we're looking at the McLaren of De Rosa once again holding up, as we're looking at Willows. That is sketchy, that is, and I really thought there was going to be accident there. I didn't think he'd lap him there, but he did. He got through safely, just about. So there we go. As I said, that was just incredibly scary, really. But as we're looking at De Rosa right now in P2, got Hutter behind him in P3. And here we are looking. This is of Armar Car at the moment, comfortably in the lead at this point in time in P1 with 13 laps to go. Now here is Lincoln Parler as he comes to the chicane. A little bit of a lock-up, I think that may have been from him, or maybe the man behind of Jones. I wasn't quite sure who that was, but a little lock-up anyway. As the drivers come through, they've got the faster cars behind them as well that are trying to lap them, but it's very, very difficult to do so. And oh, actually no, it was that Jones once again went into the back of Lincoln Parler there, so did almost the exact same as what he did to his teammate. So Jones has not had a good race. Of course, I forget he's got the 15-second time penalty as well. But anyway, here we are now on the final lap of this race. This race has gone through incredibly quickly. But at the moment, Armar Car is leading this race. He has from the start, and it's going to continue. But as I said, and the one stop for him worked. He went the longest distance out of anyone, and for him it worked. It nearly didn't though. I reckon if he kept going for probably another lap or two, maybe 2 laps, De Rosa could have jumped him. And if he had, then I think De Rosa probably might have won this race, because as I said, De Rosa is still in second position, might I add. And so it's been a fantastic performance by him as well. But Armar Car set to take his 3rd victory of the season, and he will eat into Franco Lopez's points lead. And he's coming through 78 laps. This race probably felt really boring for him, but it was definitely not, because he had to manage those tyres very easily. Of course, you're thinking of the oldest cliches in the book, really. But Armar Car coming around the final corner. He's led from the start. He's going to take his 3rd victory of the season, and Armar Car is going to win the Monaco Grand Prix. Well done to him. And 1 hour 38 that was quite a long race actually. But looking at Evan Byrne, who is coming across the line in 9th position, so he'll take some points. I think I'm relatively happy with that, I would say. And here's the man himself, Quirosima De Rosa, 2nd position. He's held off 3 or 4 faster cars all race long, and De Rosa is going to take 2nd position. He gets the podium. He gets 2nd. Hutter is 3rd. Lopez is 4th. Willers is 5th. Moichin coming across the line in 10th. And Laura Chung, what a performance by her as well. 6th position for her. Great result. Felix Sontag's going to come across the line in 11th position. Just missed out on the points. done an okay performance, I'd say. Well, he certainly outperformed his teammate Campana, that's for sure. But here we are looking at Sontag about to come across the line. He's just going to miss out on some points though, which I think he would have rather had than simply comfortably beating his teammate. But he comes around the final corner, got a whole host of cars behind him as well. And Sontag comes across the line in 11th, Parachki 12th, Roberto Gamba 13th, Roke in 14th, Tomaselli 15th. Now Turin will take 7th position, so that's more points for him in the bag. Campana in 16th, Jones 17th, Volker in 18th position. Wow, 18th position. Roberto Gamba, the final car, across the line in 8th. But how was Volker only 18th? That is quite incredible, to be honest. But anyway, here is the full race results after Monaco, with Abakar in 1st, De Rossa in 2nd, Joel Hutter 3rd, Lopez 4th, Willers 5th, Laura Chung 6th, Tirina Turner 7th, Frankie Gamba 8th, Everberg 9th, and Roda Moichin in 10th position, Sontag in 11th. Joel Hutter actually set the fastest lap as well, 1:12.2, absolutely decimating that record set by Warnella last season. Enis Parachki 12th, Roberto Gamba 13th, George Roke 14th, Palladino Tomaselli 15th, Campana 16th, Tommy Volker actually up to 17th, sorry. Gabriel Gomez 18th, and Jones down at 2:19th with his 52nd time penalty, so yeah, he was last. So Volker moves up to 17th, that's going to be nothing for him. With Mikla Scow, Maxime Titkoff and Jay McKenzie, of course, not finishing the race. And Amar Carr is closing the gap to Lopez, the gap only 11 points to the Argentinian. Willers down to 3rd, Volker in 4th still, Hutter 5th, Gal 6th, Frankie Gamba up to 7th ahead of Moichin in 8th, De Rossa all the way up to 9th with that points finish, and now Turner in 10th, Jay McKenzie down to 11th position. Chung all the way up to 12th with that 6th position in Monaco, so that's good for her. And 13th is Bird, then Gomez, Roberto Gamba, Tomaselli, Roke, Parachki, Sontag, Jones, Titkoff, and Campana completing the driver's standings. So now we'll take a look at the constructor standings after Monaco. So here we go. And Ferrari leading by just a single point ahead of Mercedes after Monaco, so that is incredibly close. Red Bull in a very lonely 3rd, Force India 4th, Haas in 5th, McLaren moving up to 6th ahead of Renault thanks to that podium. Torosso up to 8th ahead of Sauber, and Williams actually moving ahead of Manor into 11th position. So yeah, there we go. That was the Monaco Grand Prix. I hope you guys enjoyed. Again, not the best of races, but what can you do? It's Monaco. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to, as usual, vote we drive the day. I give the race a rating out of 10. Check out all our links in the description, Twitter, Discord, check out merch, and all of that stuff. And we'll see you for the next round, the Canadian Grand Prix at Montreal. However, that won't be next week, as next week it will be a very special event, the Indy 500. So thanks for watching, guys, and see you later.
The race down to the line, but I think he's got it. Yes, Wolf at the last corner has completed 500 miles and is the winner!